My name is Stacy Michelle, and this is the live stream on Thursday, February 13th for ADHD is the New Black. How are you guys doing today? Let me see if anybody's watching. Let's see. Nobody's here. That's great. I can play by myself. Okay. First of all, I just need to get a little settled because I was rushing to start this live stream on time. And as you can see, it's 12:04. For me, that's on time, but I'm really making a concerted effort to make early on time. Oh, hi there. We got some people here. We got 3 people. Hi, Cheetah Girl. Hi, Chana Yahawada. Is that correct? You're from Delaware. Hi, girl. I'm so glad you guys are here. I thought I was going to be playing alone in the sandbox this morning. Anyway, thanks for waiting for this live stream to start. My assistant, her name is Stacy Michelle. She had a couple of last minute things to gather regarding our topic today. And our topic today is sleep issues with ADHD. We're going to get into sleep apnea because that's going to be the focus of this live stream today. And how does all of that connect to the onset of dementia? Somebody please say, hey, or I've heard of that. If you have ever heard that sleep apnea and dementia are related. And also just give a thumbs up if you're somebody with ADHD who struggles with sleep. All right, so I want to preface this whole live stream by saying, first of all, if you are a fan of this channel, please make sure you watch some videos once in a while, even some shorts, like them. If you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and subscribe. This channel is so close to hitting 10,000 subscribers. Where did Oprah come from? Why is Oprah in my apartment all of a sudden? My channel, everybody is so close to hitting 10,000 subscribers. That is a major milestone. And if you could please, please, please help me to reach that milestone. Oh, guys, so many bigger things lay ahead once you can get beyond 10,000 subscribers. So having said that, let me take a little sip of coffee, and I want to take a deep breath and center myself because today's topic is urgent. It is urgent. It's important. And if you have ADHD, I want you to take heed because what I'm about to share with you could save your life if it affects you, or it could kill you if you ignore it. Okay. Whew. Get myself together here. And I'm going to go ahead and put my glasses on. All right. So Cheetah says she has not heard of all of these connections between sleep disruptions, ADHD, sleep apnea, and dementia. Hi, Melissa. Good to see you. Just saw you. I've never heard of them being connected. This is going to be interesting. Shauna, this is going to be more than interesting. This is going to be a lifesaver if you snore. And that's my first question I want to ask you. Do you snore? Does anybody out there snore? Thumbs up if you snore, if you have been told you are a snorer, if you've ever woken yourself up, woken yourself. If you've ever heard yourself snoring in your sleep and it woke you up, give a thumbs up. That happens to me quite often, and I'll tell you why it's dangerous to ignore that. So if you snore, this won't be a bore. Okay, let me get serious because this is serious. So, first of all, guys, I want to tell you why I'm talking about this topic today, okay? I've always been told my entire adult life that I snore, some variations of you snore, and not as a compliment. I've heard you snore like a sailor, you snore like a freight train. Girl, I had to get up out of the bed and go sleep on the couch because you snore so bad. Or don't you wake yourself up snoring? Or like, this is you, Stacy. Like people have actually acted out how I sound when I sleep. And I've never given much thought to whether or not this is a problem. And do you know why? I'll tell you why. I come from a family of snorers, okay? I grew up in a house that would scare away a burglar if he broke in, because my mama snored, my daddy snored, some of my aunts and uncles snore. And I don't mean just cute little, Z's, Z, 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 Z. What is that? That's not snoring. Snoring is what I just demonstrated. That, okay? Mouth open, head back. That, okay? Thumbs up if you could relate to what I'm talking about. Okay. So, Love just asked Shauna if the mouth tape works. Guys, we're going to get into all that. Mouth taping is something that I discovered a few months ago, but I had to take it a step further. So, I never thought much about my snoring. You know why? Again, I come from a family of snorers. I just thought, hey, people snore, whatever. But then, guys, this past fall, I was attending the International Conference for ADHD in Anaheim, and I shared a hotel room with an acquaintance, and she warned me beforehand that, hey, I have a CPAP machine. It's quiet, but I hope it doesn't disturb you. Well, we're sleeping in separate beds. I'd never actually witnessed someone, put on a CPAP mask or anything. I didn't know what to expect. Turns out the thing was really quiet, and she was really quiet at night. But after the first night that we spent in the hotel room, she was struggling. She told me later, she was struggling with telling me this, but she finally told me that weekend. She said, I don't want to offend you. She's like, but you snore really loud. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah, everybody in my family snores. And she says, I would really have that looked at if I were you. And I'm like, why? And she's like, it's really dangerous to stop breathing in the middle of the night. And I could hear you stop breathing. And I'm like, I stopped breathing. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, okay, thanks for telling me. And she was so apologetic. She thought she was offending me. She was an intervention from God, because I was so curious why she was so concerned. She didn't say, because you'll probably die of dementia if you don't get this fixed. She didn't say anything like that. But as a curious-minded ADHD person, which many of us are, by the way, I didn't let it end at, you should have that checked out. I went on this computer that we have in our hands, all of us, and I searched, why should I have my snoring checked out? And I fell down a very shallow rabbit hole, if there's a such thing, that actually links sleep apnea to the early, or the, not early, but to the probable onset of dementia. As a matter of fact, and please listen to me when I tell you this, several studies, and I'll link the studies in the description once this video uploads, several studies that I read have stated that untreated sleep apnea makes you 50% more likely to develop dementia. Now, I don't know what the genetic, variant or a portion of that is. Like, are you even more likely if you're already genetically predisposed? Guys, I'm sorry I can't talk this morning. I did get a good night's sleep though, and I'll tell you why. I don't know where the genetic predisposition fits into that, but the studies I read that sleep apnea sets you up for very bad consequences. It increases your chances of developing dementia. And I thought about that, and it hit me like bricks. And I'll tell you why. Remember when I just said that, I come from a family of snorers and therefore never took my snoring seriously. Well, within the context of that study that I read, I realized that every one of the people in my family who I said all snore like sailors, all snore like freight trains, all developed dementia and died. And one of those people is someone who is like my mom. She's my aunt, actually. And she developed dementia very early on. And she's in her 70s now, and she's been living with dementia symptoms that have been slow progressing, but now is accelerating for the past 15 years at least. And let me tell you, it is very hard to see someone who has very much been your mother start struggling with cognitive issues like dementia, someone who is a type A, someone who's been very successful, someone who is the person that is always taking care of everybody else because she's so capable of doing it, start to lose her noodles because of dementia. And nobody knew what was going on because she was still so young in her 50s when it onset. And guess what? It wasn't her snoring that her doctors early on connected to her cognitive decline before they actually diagnosed her with dementia. It was the fact that she did not, that she really didn't sleep. She was a chronic insomniac, and I did not know that. And I've known her my whole life, okay? She was that person who was always up, getting stuff done, middle of the night, always doing stuff. So, what do you all think of what I just shared with you? We're going to get into the nitty gritty of this. So yes, China, 50%, yes. So that's where we're starting with this live stream today. That's why it's important. That's why it was important to me to present this as a topic today. Because if you are here today, I am assuming you have ADHD or somebody close to you has ADHD. And those of us with ADHD are already predisposed to having sleep disturbances. And if one of those sleep disturbances is sleep apnea, and you have not had it diagnosed, you have not had a sleep study, I hope the information I'm about to share with you will motivate you to go get it checked out, okay? So, again, guys, if you're just tuning in, hey, Melissa. Yes, Melissa, snoring, sleep apnea, early onset dementia are related. So, Melissa, I just want to clarify. My aunt had early onset, but nothing in the studies I read connected sleep apnea to early onset dementia. It says that sleep apnea makes it more likely, 50% more likely that you will develop dementia at some point, but it did not specify early dementia. So thank you. Thank you for asking that so I can make that clear. All right, guys. Again, my name is Stacey Michelle. This is ADHD is the New Black. And this live stream, we are going to talk about the links between ADHD, sleep apnea, general ADHD sleep issues, and dementia. Nothing that I'm giving you today is made up in my head, although I know a whole lot about ADHD because I'm an ADHD coach. And my whole world is learning about ADHD. I wanted to make sure that I grabbed sound scientific research evidence to present to you. Some of these studies are pretty old, but I've got the best information out that I could find last night that was available through ChatGPT. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, a lot of it was through ChatGPT. I did make sure that these were actual studies. So I know that the study of dementia, treatment of dementia and Alzheimer's, I know there's a lot of different information about that, drugs that they thought worked, things that they thought at one time caused Alzheimer's and dementia. There still seems to be not a strong consensus about what causes Alzheimer's as far as prevention, the plaque, the amyloids, all that. All I know is the information I found does talk about plaque and amyloids and deterioration of our brain cells that are connected to our cognitive function. So let me get on to my actual outline here so that I can think in a more linear fashion, because I'm a very non-linear thinker, guys. I'll be all over the place if I don't stick to my notes going forward. Here we go. All right, guys. So why am I talking about this topic today? Because it is important, not just to me, but to you. If you are a snorer and you have ADHD and you have other sleep issues too, Take your brain health seriously, because you are more likely than people who don't have ADHD and people who don't snore to develop dementia, okay? Just start there. So yes, sleep disorders, including apnea, are linked to long-term cognitive health risks, okay? So what we're going to talk about first is delayed sleep phase syndrome. These are specific to what they have found that's common amongst people with ADHD, okay? ADHD and sleep disruptions. The common sleep issues in ADHD are DSPS, or delayed sleep phase syndrome, okay? Insomnia and restless sleep, and increased nighttime alertness or hyperactivity. Those are the three things that I'm going to get into a little bit first before we get to the sleep apnea. So, the first one, delayed sleep phase syndrome, or DSPS. Does anybody know what that is? Anybody know what DSPS is? Let me get into it and you tell me if you suffer from this. So, delayed sleep phase syndrome is basically your body clock is off, okay? You go to bed at a time that you feel like you should be going to bed because you want to be productive the next day, or you have to get up early for work, like, many people do. Or you are wanting to be that person that gets up and works out in the morning and, does the productive things during daylight hours. However, you can't fall asleep when you go to bed at 9, 10, 11, whatever, okay? You go to bed way later than you feel like you are supposed to. That is delayed sleep phase syndrome. It's common in ADHD. People with DSPS, delayed sleep phase syndrome, naturally feel alert at night, but you feel sleepy in the morning. Does that sound like anybody? A lot of people I know who are artists get most of their most creative work done late into the night. And that's normal for them. But you try to flip their clock around and make them go punch a clock at 8 a.m. They're not going to give their best performance, okay? A lot of my coaching clients have this issue with going to bed at a time that will make them most alert and functional and productive at their jobs in the morning because they work during the daylight hours, and they feel like they're doing something wrong. They feel like they just have bad habits. Some of it is habit. However, much of it, their struggles, the struggle part of it, is biological with their ADHD, because our brains are wired to release melatonin. You guys know, you've heard of melatonin. It's the sleep hormone. Our brains with ADHD, those of us who struggle with this, we don't get that release of melatonin until later in the night than someone who doesn't struggle with this, like neurotypical people, those people, the normies, going to bed at 9, lights out, Our onset of melatonin, if we struggle with this, doesn't happen until later in the night, and we don't start feeling sleepy until long after, midnight. And what happens? We feel guilty about that because we feel like we should be sleeping. Why can't I sleep? And then that becomes an issue itself. The whole laying in bed thinking, why can't I sleep? In itself becomes a source of anxiety. So, if everybody who's productive, the Tony Robbins of the world, the Oprahs, the highly productive people, who don't know your life, tell you to be in bed by 10 and up at 6 and get your workout on, you're just like, how do you do that? I don't know how to do that. Stop judging me. We do feel judged, okay? The next ADHD sleep issue is insomnia and restless sleep. Again, my aunt, who developed the early onset dementia, she suffered from insomnia her whole adult life. I didn't know this until about 10 years ago. And restless sleep. So let's say you are able to create a habit where you're getting to bed at the time you think you should be going to bed, to get up nice and early with the birds, right? And you get into bed, and instead of falling asleep, you lay there because you can't fall asleep. It's as simple as that. You might not be falling asleep because your brain is still on. So we're talking about racing thoughts, all the things that are in our brains in the daytime or in our brains at nighttime. And now we're hyper focusing on all those thoughts. If we're in bed, it's quiet. I put the phone down. We'll get to that in a second. And all these random thoughts that come at us, a million miles a minute, and we can't do anything with that. And you're just too alert to fall asleep. That is the restless or the insomnia part, or the restless sleep. Okay. The restless sleep is you do manage to fall asleep, but you don't fall into a deep sleep. You're getting light sleep. The least little thing wakes you up, things that wake you up. And now you're tossing, you're turning. You might have to get up and go to the restroom. These are the things that prevent us from falling asleep and from staying asleep once we're asleep. Now, if you have other issues like restless leg syndrome or jerky body movements, that also makes it difficult to fall asleep, because if you're like me, now you're like, oh, dang, what does that mean? Why am I jerking in my sleep? Is that Parkinson's? Oh my gosh, is it Parkinson's? I've had all these thoughts, guys, recently, okay? I've had all these thoughts. The next issue with ADHD brains that's very common is increased nighttime alertness and hyperactivity. Okay. So everybody else in your family or your household, your roommates, whoever, they're winding down, 10, 11 o'clock. You're just winding up. You're like, ooh, I got that to-do list to check on. Oh my goodness. We'll wash these dishes you could have washed all day. But all of a sudden at 11:30 at night, when you had promised yourself you're going to be in bed, you're like, after I wash the dishes. Some of us call that productive procrastination, but it's really a way. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, I'm not ready to go to bed yet, so I'm going to sweep the floor, scrub the baseboards, doom scroll. Okay, somebody mentioned doom scrolling. Or, you know what? I'm suddenly feeling like starting that business. I'm suddenly feeling like starting an Etsy shop. I know I should be in bed, but all of a sudden I got this great idea to sell stuff on Etsy. Can anybody out there relate? I don't know. Okay, well, that's because our brains are more active late at night. We haven't had the onset of melatonin. Again, it's all part of the brain structure. So this is why when we finally do go to sleep, and even if we do manage to get a good 8-9 hours of sleep, and then when you finally wake up, many of us just don't even feel rested in the mornings. You wake up and you're like, I could actually sleep another 8 hours. Love is like, I feel called out. Yes. Ring, ring, love. All right. So those are the common sleep issues that people with ADHD deal with. If that's you, just say, yep, that's me. Love already said that she is feeling called out. Now, I want to move on to the why of these sleep issues in connection with ADHD. So why does ADHD cause sleep problems? I don't want to get too deep into the science because I don't have, a whiteboard or any graphics to show you to illustrate what I'm talking about. So I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. We'll talk about dopamine and melatonin regulation issues, which, that's all neurotransmitters, that's all brain-related hormones. And what's ADHD? ADHD is a condition that affects our brains, right? Executive function difficulties that we have that affect our sleep hygiene. Hello, doom scrolling. And then there are other co-occurring conditions that many of us with ADHD deal with every day, and that being anxiety and hyperactivity, okay? So, why does ADHD cause sleep problems? Let's go back to the dopamine and the melatonin regulation issues. Again, I'm pulling this all from studies that I found out there just to make sure that I can keep what I'm delivering to you concise and accurate. ADHD brains struggle to regulate dopamine, which we all know that's what ADHD is, according to most scientists, most researchers. Some researchers believe ADHD is more a condition of the nervous system. But that's not this episode. So ADHD brains struggle to regulate dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical that helps us with focus and motivation and sleep. Okay? What do we know about dopamine? We know dopamine is what's supposed to be that, ooh, you get dopamine when you work out. You get dopamine when you go for a jog. Most of us do. Maybe not during, but afterwards. Dopamine, makes you feel good. Well, dopamine is also the key to motivation. Motivation is an issue with us. It's a challenge. And it's because of the fewer neurotransmitters for dopamine in our brains, we have to find ways to try and make our dopamine. And many of us don't develop these strategies and tools because either you don't know you have ADHD, or it's not been diagnosed, or you haven't found a coach. Hi, ADHD coach here, just in case you were curious, okay? So dopamine also plays a role in melatonin production. Why did my voice just go up just like that? Melatonin production. Melatonin, guys, is the hormone that tells your body, hey, it's time for bed. And we talked about that just a few moments ago, okay? In ADHD brains, as I mentioned before, the melatonin release is delayed. So that means that we don't get sleepy at the right, quote unquote, the right time, meaning at night when, normies go to bed, or at the time that would allow you to get a full restful night's sleep in order to get up to meet the day's responsibility if your day starts in the morning, the next morning. The next thing regarding why ADHD causes sleep issues, well, guys, it's sleep hygiene. How many of you have heard of sleep hygiene? Sleep hygiene, right? We all know what sleep hygiene is. It's not, am I clean before I go to bed? Did I shower before I go to bed? Anybody shower at night? Anybody a nighttime shower person? I'm not. I never have been. I do my showers in the morning. And to some people that I have lived with before, or been roommates with before, or even some people in my family are like, gross, you go to bed dirty, you put your dirty feet in the bed. If that's you, by the way, I'm not talking about you. That's perfectly okay to be a nighttime shower person. Okay. All right. Anyway, we all have our own habits and we do what works for us. All right, guys. So, getting to bed on time with intention. Let's put it this way. Getting to bed with intention, it's more than just getting in the bed and falling asleep, okay? And I say that with intention. It requires more steps than just collapsing onto the bed, which I do sometimes, okay? But if we're trying to get to bed with intention at a specific bedtime, it involves steps. And a lot of times we skip steps, or we don't want to do the steps, or the steps are hard for us. Steps like brushing our teeth, okay? Steps like changing into your pajamas if you wear pajamas. Turning off your screens or devices. There we go. Who feels seen now? Turning off the devices. 100% of my clients who have sleep hygiene issues struggle with falling asleep with their phones in bed with them, like in their hands. It's like, and they want to stop. They want to stop, and they don't know how to stop. And they keep trying different strategies that work for a minute, but at the end of the day, the intentionality is not there enough to form a new habit, and they end up, instead of leaving the phone on a charger in a different room, they end up falling asleep with it in the bed or next to the bed on the nightstand. And then when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you see? The phone, okay? I know I'm preaching to the choir on this one. All right. Other sleep hygiene issues can be just actually literally getting into the bed. I will confess, I'm a person who enjoys sleeping on the couch because the couch is in front of the TV and I enjoy falling asleep to watching the TV. And a lot of times that is not conducive to a restful night's sleep. And I have 2 dogs who like to sleep on top of me. So there's that. All right. The other issue with ADHD related sleep issues I'll cover before we get to sleep apnea are co-occurring anxiety and hyperactivity. I've yet to meet someone with ADHD, or should I say coach someone with ADHD, who does not struggle with anxiety. Anxiety seems to be, you know, the tag-along friend for ADHD for all the reasons that you know of, all the things. I don't have to tell you about it, okay? But hyperactivity is part of that too, and I don't necessarily mean physical hyperactivity, but mental hyperactivity. So you're lying in bed, like I mentioned before, and you're trying to fall asleep because you're wanting to create a new bedtime habit, but instead of drifting off to sleep, your thoughts are racing. Every little thing triggers a new thought. The thoughts are racing, and then all of a sudden you're feeling bad because you're not asleep, and then that becomes the focus. Why am I not sleeping? And that creates the anxiety. Please put an amen in the chat if you can identify with that, okay? Hyperactivity in the mind makes it very hard for our bodies to relax. And ADHD people, not all, but many, and especially many people who are neurodivergent in other ways, suffer from sensory issues, okay? We experience sensory issues that make things like sheets with the wrong thread count, or scratchy blankets, or pillows that aren't soft enough or firm enough. Just all of the things that touch our bodies in bed can create discomfort and hyperactivity in our bodies, or even just lying still, okay? Just trying to be still can be a source of anxiety for so many of us. All right, now we've covered the specific sleep issues that many people with ADHD experience. Let's get on specifically to why I created this episode, and it's the sleep apnea and its relationship to dementia, all right? So, and I'm reading from notes, by the way. I'm reading from notes to keep me on track, again, because I have a nonlinear way of thinking, and I want to stay on the straight and narrow with you all, because this issue is very important, okay? It is beyond important. It's urgent. It's crucial. It's just evil, actually. It's just downright evil what sleep apnea can do to our brains. All right. Now, according to the studies that I pulled, and it's something that I never hear talked about, or at least not talked about enough in relationship to ADHD, is that those of us with ADHD might be more likely to have sleep apnea, okay? We might be more predisposed to actually being that person that snores and stops breathing in the middle of the night, which is sleep apnea, okay? And if you didn't know this already, sleep apnea, the way it affects our cognition, our brains, actually makes our ADHD symptoms worse, okay? Worse. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Melissa says, getting to bed at a time that allows for enough rest, that is a challenge. Yes, indeedy. As a matter of fact, I was scheduled to start this live stream at 9 a.m. this morning. However, I found myself being awake until 2 preparing for this live stream. And I'm like, I ain't getting up in time to do a live stream. So I pushed it to noon. Those of you who were expecting it at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, thank you for coming back at noon to watch this. Shauna says everything that we're talking about so far is relatable. And she says she used to play the TV and would be listening to the words instead of sleeping. And now she just uses green noise. How is the green noise working for you, Shauna? Let us know in the chat. And I'm not exactly sure I understand what green noise is. If you can also put a little blurb in the chat how you understand green noise, Shauna, please help us all out here. All right, so sleep apnea. What is that? What is that? So sleep apnea is a condition. It is a medical condition, a medical condition. My tongue has gotten so lazy, guys. I'm so sorry. It's been so long since I've put out videos. My tongue just skips right over some consonants. So I'm working on that. Okay, so sleep apnea, it is a condition where your breathing actually stops and starts repeatedly while you're sleeping. The most common type is obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, and it happens when your throat muscles relax too much and blocks the airway. Let me share with you, if you don't mind, something that I've come to understand was an inner alert to me that I was experiencing sleep apnea. I used to dream pretty frequently that I was experiencing something that was making me struggle to breathe. The most common dream I used to have was that I was either just holding my breath for no reason, you know, like sitting in class and you're just like, I'm not gonna breathe, or I was drowning, like drowning in water. Okay, guys, that's actually one of my, I won't say phobias because I'm not afraid of water, but I am afraid of drowning in water because I don't swim, okay? And I have had recurring dreams throughout my lifetime that I'm drowning and I'm holding my breath. And I have come to understand now, every time I've had those dreams that I know of, that was when I stopped breathing in my sleep. And you're like, well, chicken egg, were you not breathing because you were dreaming you were drowning? Or were you dreaming that you were drowning because you stopped breathing? I don't know. I'm going to guess that the dream was triggered by the fact that I would stop breathing in the middle of the night while I was snoring and having the sleep apnea. Not sure, but it seems to be the connection, okay? So, the sleep apnea, the blocking of our airway, what does that look like? Well, we already talked about that. Snoring, well, what does it sound like? Snoring, gasping for air. That's gasping for air, as I know I do it because my roommate at the hotel at the conference recorded my sleeping so I could hear it. And I'm like, yeah, no, really, what do I sound like when I'm snoring? And she's like, that's you, okay? Constantly waking up in the middle of the night, waking yourself up because you can hear yourself snoring, or just your body waking itself up because you're not breathing, okay? And we have these sleep disturbances, these cycles of waking up, and we don't even realize it. It's not like we're waking up and like, whoop, boy, I just woke up. Time to get up. It's like we're waking up and then going back to sleep without even realizing it, okay? The reason we wake up and not realize it is that our bodies are trying to keep us alive. Our bodies are waking itself up multiple times a night to start breathing again. So everybody, let's say thank you to our bodies for keeping us alive at night when sleep apnea might be trying to kill us, okay? So some of the common symptoms of sleep apnea, if this is sounding foreign to you, like, oh, do I snore? I snore a little bit. If you think you snore a little bit, which I thought my snoring wasn't that bad until I heard myself on a recording, loud snoring or someone telling you that you snore loudly, gasping or choking in your sleep, waking up exhausted even after 8 or more hours of sleep, okay? Brain fog. Brain fog, it kind of comes with the package of ADHD for most people. But guys, the brain fog is worse when you have untreated sleep apnea. It exacerbates that. Memory issues. Are you walking around foggy in the daytime going, well, that's my ADHD, brain fog, and I can't remember anything? Is it just the ADHD, or is the ADHD getting worse because of your sleep apnea? Okay? And then trouble focusing during the day. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir right now. I hate such cliches. I'm going to stop saying every cliche I've ever said, like preaching to the choir. But you get what I'm saying. We all have this common experience of these symptoms with ADHD, and they get exacerbated when we have an untreated sleep apnea condition, okay? So all of these symptoms I just mentioned, like I said, overlap with ADHD symptoms, and that's why sleep apnea can actually go undiagnosed because, as I just mentioned, you might think it's just bad ADHD symptoms, when in reality, your brain may not be getting enough oxygen at night. And when I say you, I'm talking about me now, okay? Me. That's what happened to me. All right. Real quickly, I want to just make sure I address the studies that support that there are higher rates of sleep apnea found in ADHD, in the ADHD community. Okay. Studies suggest, and you're like, what studies? I'll post them in the comments, or I'll post them in the details after this video uploads. Studies suggest that people with ADHD are more likely to have sleep apnea. One study, this is from a 2011 study, I believe with the Mayo Clinic, found that people with ADHD have a significantly higher risk of sleep-disturbed breathing. Some researchers believe that untreated sleep apnea can mimic or worsen ADHD symptoms, just reiterating what I just said. And that means, obviously, if you have both ADHD and sleep apnea, your focus, your memory, and your mood could all be more impacted. All right? So over the long term, what does this predict? Well, over the long term, if sleep apnea continues to affect negatively the parts of our brain that are responsible, the prefrontal cortex, and where our executive function exists, that sleep apnea is affecting our focus, our memory, and our mood, then guess what? Every night this is happening. Every night we're not getting enough oxygen in our brains. According to these studies, eventually this could lead to the onset of dementia. And again, I'm not accounting for genetic predisposition. These studies are only talking about ADHD. If you know now that if your sleep apnea could make you 50% more likely to develop dementia if it's not treated, what's stopping you from getting that checked out, from making an effort to get it checked out, okay? So I want to close out this video in a few moments with just the most sincerest and direst of warnings that I can convey to you. This is real, guys. ADHD predisposes us to so many life-shortening conditions, circumstances, and in a nutshell, ADHD can find 50,000 ways to kill us. Our symptoms predispose us to forgetting to do things like get our yearly exams, to having just not just issues. Look at me, I can't even find my words. Oh my goodness. Not just the speed hump of picking up the phone or going online to make an appointment with our doctors. Just remembering to do that, okay? And I know all these things are very hard to do because we don't like to do them because they're boring. It's like, I don't make a doctor's appointment. Things that our moms used to do for us, we have to learn ways to do for ourselves if we know that taking action, that being proactive, okay, can save us from being a burden on someone else in our family if we were to develop dementia. You don't have to raise your hand, you don't have to reply, but if someone close to you has dementia, if you've been a caregiver for someone with dementia, if you've seen it, you heard about it, guys, you know that that is not living not just for the person with dementia. They don't know what's happening to them anymore. But to see it in someone who used to be so vibrant, so, so successful, so present, and they're gone. Their bodies are here, but their minds are gone. And you're having to chase them like they're a 2-year-old toddler trying to get out of the house. Not just the burden on that person, because, through the process, they're aware something's changing in them, but the caregiver. So if you can add more productive years to your life and not be a burden on the people who are closest to you, your children or siblings, and that's God willing, you have somebody who loves you enough to take care of you. But if you're an old maid like me, did I say that? I did. I don't have a husband. I don't have children. Don't think my dogs would take care of me if I, were starting to develop dementia. I don't know who would take care of me, everybody. I really don't, and that really concerns me. It has kept me up at night, and it is one of the driving forces behind me getting a sleep study so that I can take care of myself. As raggedy as it is sometimes, as raggedy as my efforts to take care of myself can be some days, at least I know who I am. I am still capable of being productive. I am still capable of being of service to the ADHD community. I am still capable of having gratitude. I am still capable of seeking out help when I need it. Patreon support, donations to support my work. Yes, I'm still capable of seeking out clients for coaching. I'm still independent, okay? I suck at it sometimes, but I'm still capable. And I want that to continue for as long as possible. And I know you would want that for yourself too. So please don't ignore, guys, what I guess this is a warning. And I don't mean to scare you, but sometimes fear can be a good thing when it motivates you to take care of yourself or to look into something that is not quite right with yourself, not quite right with your body or your mind. Don't ignore it, guys. Don't ignore it, okay? Just want to see if there's anything else left to share in these studies that I pulled for you. This is one of those, this is going into the Get Real playlist. I don't know if you've seen on my channel, I have different playlists. One of those playlists is called Get Real about ADHD. Guys, this is a get real moment. Get real. Because sleep apnea, snoring. Okay, let's keep it as simple as possible. Snoring with ADHD could make you more likely to develop dementia. Do you snore? Do you choke yourself in the middle of the night? Get it checked out for your sake. And for the people around you, for their sake too, okay? Like you on ADHD times 1,000. Imagine that. Like, oh boy, that's scary. Okay. All right. Just want to quote a couple other studies here. 2015 study shows evidence that sleep apnea contributes to Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's. If anybody has more knowledge about this than I, please put it in the chat. Dementia is a form of Alzheimer's. Is that right? I don't know. Okay. This study found that people with untreated sleep apnea developed more beta amyloid plaques. Those are the toxic proteins that clog the brain in Alzheimer's. Okay. Amyloid plaques. That's even an ugly word, but they found those in Alzheimer's patients. I am uncertain of the current research in the causation. Do the plaques cause Alzheimer's? Or if you have Alzheimer's, do you have the plaques? I'm not clear on that correlation, okay? But this says that untreated sleep apnea does develop those nasty amyloid plaque proteins, and that's gross. All right. Couple of more just wanted to bring up, which I probably have already just beaten that dead horse. There's another cliche. I've probably beaten this horse dead, but no, let's beat this horse to life. We're going to beat this horse to life, guys. That's all the bad news. Here's the good news. Here's the good news. All right, there's good news. I'm not gonna leave you hanging like, being like all depressed and stuff. Here's the good news. This is the inciting reason for me doing this episode. I told you I got the sleep study. Yes, did the sleep study in November. They discovered that I do stop breathing in the middle of the night. Went back and they tested out a CPAP machine on me in the second phase of the sleep study, and it 100% improved my quality of sleep. It stopped the snoring. It stopped the cessation of breathing in the middle of the night. And so my insurance, my raggedy insurance did pay for a CPAP machine, because that's what insurance companies are supposed to do. And as of 2 nights ago, I've been sleeping with a CPAP machine. It's interesting, but actually, guys, I've been getting more refreshed sleep. It feels good, actually. Not the little nose part. There are different models of nose parts you can get. Some people sleep with the full-on, Top Gun fighter jet mask. It depends on what your doctor prescribes. For me, it's the little, they call it sleep pillows that go under. But mine has the holes in the front like an elephant. I don't like that. It's not sexy. So I'm going to ask my insurance company to provide the same type of sleep mask that I used in the sleep study, which it connects at the top, and I look like a Martian. So anyway, it's not sexy, okay? I don't know if I'll ever have a sleepover guest again, because the choice at that point would be, well, you have to listen to me snore, or you have to look at me sleeping in this mask. Neither one of them is sexy, okay? But it is a very small price to pay if just by sleeping in a CPAP with a CPAP mask every night, I can stop killing off brain cells, and I can lower my risk for developing dementia due to sleep apnea. So anyway, guys, that is it. Before we close out, please, questions, comments, anything you'd like to share with the other people in this live stream. I can't stress enough. Please take care of your health, because nobody else is going to do it for you. I can only speak for myself when I say that the things that are very hard for me with ADHD are attention to detail, are money, managing money, making enough money right now, remembering to make appointments, just all of the things that require executive function. And that's what ADHD is, right? It is a deficit of executive function, or the intentional direction of our focus. But this was so important to me because of my aunt, who I had just visited for Christmas and saw the decline in her. This woman who's so vibrant. It scared me. It scared me into a sleep study. So if fear works for you, then get scared and get checked out. All right, guys. That is it. I just want to make sure I added everything. Again, I will post a link to these studies that I have been delivering this information from in the description once the video uploads. And once the video uploads, I mean sometime today. It could be tonight, it might be tomorrow, but as soon as I can remember, as soon as I take a minute and prioritize this, it's all about prioritization, isn't it? As soon as I prioritize this, once the video is ready, I will put all my notes and all these links to these studies for you to be able to look at anytime you want. And that's it. Guys, take your brain seriously. We only have one of them. And it is unfortunate that our particular, I'm going to say it, that our particular disability, because that's what it is. That's what it is. It is a disability according to the Americans with Disabilities Act. That doesn't make me feel bad about myself. That just reminds me how urgent and serious this is, and how urgent and serious the world needs to take it, especially in corporate environments, especially, you know, within our circles, our community circles, our family circles, the people who employ us, the people who work for us, the people who love us, the people who say they love us until they get tired of us not showing up for stuff or forgetting things. Okay. Where was I going with that? I don't remember now. Anyway, everybody, thank you for joining me on this live. For the next month, I'm going to go live every Tuesday and Thursday. And I'm new to this going live thing a couple of times a week. I've never really done this other than being a guest on somebody else's channel. And boy, they make it look easy. It ain't easy. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's just me around here. I am my own producer and camera person and researcher and writer. So if you all, and I'm going to ask for your support, if you are receiving any type of benefit or an enrichment from anything that you've been exposed to on my channel, or in this live shot today, or Tuesday, or just anything on my channel that has helped you, enlightened you, made you laugh, made you feel better, please consider becoming either a supporter on Patreon, or consider just doing a super chat before we close out today. That would be awesome. Or you can actually check out I don't know if I've ever even talked about this, the nonprofit on which I am a board member, called SheADHD.org. SheADHD is a nonprofit that is dedicated to the empowerment, the education, and the advocacy for women with ADHD who are trying to become self-sufficient. And my little corner of that foundation is to raise money to help support women who would like to receive ADHD coaching, but they cannot afford it because coaching is expensive. And let's be honest, you get what you pay for, okay? So if you would like to go to SheADHD.org, I'll put that link in the description too. And now, okay, so I'll do that today. If you make a donation to the giving page, every dime except for 10% that stays with the foundation for its work goes towards the scholarship for a woman who cannot afford coaching but desperately needs it to receive one-on-one coaching from me. Okay? That makes sense? All right, everybody, have a fantastic weekend. Please remember, subscribe to this channel. Help me to reach the 10,000 subscriber mark. Tell your friends about this channel. Tell them to subscribe. And guys, it is never too late to be who you might have become. It's never too late. Wait, it's a quote. It's a direct quote. It's never too late to become who you might have been. There you go. It's never too late to become who you might have been, even with ADHD. I love you all so dearly. I really do. I feel you. You're in my heart. Always, I'm always thinking about the ADHD community, especially in regards to how can I help you to live a higher quality of life. That doesn't mean more money. That doesn't mean more stuff. That means being the person that you know you can be, as far as having integrity, keeping your promises, showing up when you say you're going to show up, doing the things that are really important on your to-do list instead of just the to-do list, doing those projects that can help you and your family, all of those things, guys. All right, I'm done talking now. I need to eat. I'm really hungry. Okay, I'm like that mom that can't hang up. Okay, bye, love you. Oh, and remember, okay, and another thing, okay, I love you. Mwah. Bye, guys. See you on Tuesday, God willing. God bless. I'm still here, I know. Gotta end the stream. Here we go. All right, for real this time.